This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Oh boy! And this is live. What do you want? Can we start this thing over? Very pleasant. Good evening.
Yeah.
Time for startup talk. Not anymore. What is it?
Small Biz Florida.
That's Small Biz Florida. Oh boy!
That's the problem with live, Greg. I told you we should always tape this.
Oh.
That's right.
Oh boy! Yeah.
All right.
And I've got to do 40 basketball games this year.
Oh,
man! So how are things going, Mr. Tom Kindred?
I'm good, and welcome to another segment and installment of Small Biz Florida, the show designed to assist and help Treasure and Research Coast residents who want to start, grow, or accelerate their business. As I always say, what a great place it is to own and operate a business along the beautiful Research and Treasure Coast. We will spend time during our hour together this evening to highlight and create awareness regarding the very powerful and robust business assistance and support programs that exist right here in our community at our very own Indian River State College. I am Tom Kindred, and I serve the region as the director for the Small Business Development Center here at Indian River State College. Underwriters for this evening's show are the Florida Small Business Development Center at Indian River State College and our good friends at Express Printing of Port St. Lucie. So, Greg, everything is good on my end. How about you?
Doing well. We kicked things off for men's basketball last weekend in front of 140 NCAA Division I basketball coaches.
Wow.
It's called the All-American Jamboree. There were 80 teams from around the United States. It was incredible. And IRSC won all three games that we played. So
Wow.
Played Alabama. Played a North Carolina squad from Cape Fear and then Pensacola.
Yeah, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think I got the notice that the big kickoff is next Wednesday evening for basketball on campus. I think if you bring a handful of canned goods, you get in for free. So I plan to be there.
Well, that pays a coach.
Oh, that pays the coach.
That
Okay.
pays the coach, yeah. That's
That's good. Well, that's good. I'm glad to know he's got some compensation coming. I'm gonna take
right.
double the cans in next Wednesday night.
But the big Vets Classic is
Yep.
the 8th and 9th, and
That's right. Okay.
we're urging everybody to
I
show up
can't
there.
wait. I love going on that night. It's a lot of fun, and it'll be the first game I've been to this season, so I look forward to it. I'm assuming you'll be there next Wednesday night.
We'll be there.
Okay. Who's your guest? Who could
Oh, I'm not. We're not broadcasting next.
Oh, you're not
Wednesday.
broadcasting
That's
next
the Blue
Wednesday.
Gold, right?
Oh, that's the Blue Gold.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you don't broadcast from the Blue
no,
Gold.
no.
Okay.
No, our first game is the second at high noon versus Ave Maria University
Okay,
from
all right.
the west coast of Florida.
Well, I'll be there next Wednesday night.
There you go.
All right. Got a lot of things, of course, going on. We are in full swing. It is the high noon of the fall semester, so it's a busy time at Indian River State College. Lots of classes going on. Just a few things I want to mention before we get started, and we've got some great guests with us this evening. We've got to start off this evening, we've got our good friend from the Indian River State College Foundation Office, Mr. John Crow. John, you with us?
Always a pleasure, Tom. Man,
Thank-
you're building me up. I feel it.
You are. Listen, you big time, man. You got a big event coming up, and we're going to talk about that event in a minute. I've got some maybe bad news for you regarding your event. I may participate this year, so I don't want to.
Oh, there goes the event.
There goes
Well,
first place.
look,
going to win it.
That's right. Look. I got a new knee. I got to use it someplace, and I'm gonna.
Bionic.
That's right. I'm going to reveal my new knee at the Pioneer 5K run. I'll be
I'm not
walking.
Sure if that kind of run if you could be showing that kind of thing.
Yeah. The Bionic Kindred.
That's right. That's me.
Cool.
And we've also got with us our very good friend. She and I go way back. I go further back than she does, of course. But we've got with us our
Twice
very good,
her age.
Yeah, I know. I'm twice everybody's age. So we've got our very good friend Kathy Post from Post Insurance. Kathy, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much, Tom. It's great to be here.
Can't wait to talk to John and Kathy both here, but we're going to get started. But let me just quickly just remind a couple folks. I talked about it last week, but we've got a couple good classes coming up. We are bringing QuickBooks training back to the college. It's a beautiful thing. QuickBooks is such an important tool for small business owners. This workshop is designed to introduce students to the functions of QuickBooks accounting software, along with some basic accounting terminology that will aid in the use of the program. So, incredible program. Again, QuickBooks, what a great product. Every small business owner and operator, if you don't have something else you're using, you need to be using QuickBooks. Great instructor. Miss Karen Capelli, who's been teaching it for a while within the School of Business, but going to run some classes through CCTI. It'll starts on October the 21st, Monday and Wednesday evenings from 5:30 to 8:30, four classes. So again, QuickBooks coming up, training. Then we've got our business writing for grants and proposals, very popular class. Standout instructor, Miss Terry Penny, has been teaching that for us for a while. So great class. From operating a small business to working in a government office, today's communications involve more writing than ever. Letters, emails, memos, flyers, reports, promotional materials, proposals, bids, grants, wide range of documents. This course is an invaluable review of the core writing principles of business correspondence and office administration. So another great class. And as I told you last week, partnering with Center State Bank to launch a very powerful financial training program called Profit Mastery. We've had a number of our consultants on the show through the years talk about our Profit Mastery program. Financial positioning, pricing, volume, cost, cash flow, management of your growth, banks and transition. Really, good topics. This program really is going to allow a small business owner to have a much better understanding of their financials and better management of those financials. And at the end of the day, there should be more bottom line dollar. So that's the point.
There's that word again, profit.
You got to have profit, Greg. It's all about the profit.
Okay.
I know.
Let me write that one down.
It's all about the profit. Kathy's going to tell us about profit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she probably will.
That's right. Kathy's going to tell us about profit and how to insure it.
Right.
So
Not to lose it.
that's right.
And not to lose it.
Not to lose it.
Yeah, that's it.
So again, you can always get more information about all that stuff that's going on in training by visiting that IRSCbiz.com site. That's IRSCBIZ.com. Click on that events calendar icon, and I promise you, you will be shocked and surprised at all that's going on in the world of business training here at Indian River State College. So with that, I want to turn quickly to our good friend John Crow. John, you still with us?
Living the dream, sir, every day.
That's right. I love it. All right, John, quickly kind of tell us a little bit about your background and pathway to the foundation.
Sure. Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to work in the foundation a little over 3 years. Kind of over a decade been in higher ed. Was in the facilities world, but came over to the foundation side, and it's been great down here in Indian River.
What is the primary mission and goal of Indian River State College's foundation? What do you guys do?
So us in the foundation, our goal is to support the college's game plan for student success. Everything we do is focused around our students, how we can ensure they're successful upon graduating, whether it's an associate's, a bachelor's, certificate.
Hey, John, let me cut in a sec. Are you on Bluetooth at all?
Am I on Bluetooth?
Yeah, it sounds.
I'm on headphones.
It sounds a little sounds a little strange. Are you talking
Sound
direct?
better?
There we go. Now you got it.
All
Okay,
right.
sorry about that.
So
yeah, like I was saying, in the foundation, we're just supporting the college's mission to ensure student success, and really through fundraising efforts, working with community partners, even if we're doing scholarships to operational support. Anything we can do to ensure our students are successful is our main goal.
Right. And now you're primarily responsible for the alumni relations part of the foundation. Kind of talk about your mission and the purpose of the alumni relations department.
Sure. As we're building the program, kind of started off light, just figuring out what does our alumni want. And through the discussions and with faculty, staff, or even of our alumni, they're open to two-way communication. So they want to hear what's going on at the college, but they also want to be able to come back and share their story, help the students understand what's out there for them, how their experiences have really helped them get to where they are. It's amazing from our college on the Treasure Coast that we're a global program. I mean, I've talked to alumni that are D1, major league coaches, executives for major companies across the globe,
All right.
and they all started here in Fort Pierce.
Wow. And obviously going to be a big year this year, I think, for the foundation and certainly the alumni department, your department. I think the college turned 60 years old this year coming up.
We have our big 60th anniversary coming up. It's I think the celebrations start next year.
I'm
going
to start early, John. I'm going to start this year.
I like it. You can invite me?
Why wait till next year?
He loves a good party.
Let's start this year.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting when you bring up the idea that we've got graduates really all over the globe, and
Right next to you.
that's right. A graduate.
Did you graduate from
We have a graduate right here in the
All
studio
Yeah,
with
my
us,
AA,
John.
I sure did.
All right. Good stuff.
We'll be in touch.
I was going to say, you need to put me on
Are
your
you a
list
member of the
there.
Alumni
I
Association?
I am not. I have not been asked to be
John,
a member of the Alumni Association.
how much does she make the check out for tonight?
Yeah.
Whatever she feels.
And you want her cell number? We can give that to you right
Right.
now if you'd like.
But you're so right, John. I mean, every year the college does a little program where they recognize an outstanding alumni, and it always amazes me that, I think last year the gentleman was a high-ranking officer in the military and came down from Washington to accept the award.
Johns.
Yeah. Wow.
Last I heard, he's currently in Africa fighting Ebola.
Wow. Yeah. So amazing. Now talk about John. You've got your second annual event coming up of the 5K run. Talk a little bit about the event and give us some details.
Yeah, this is our second annual, like you said, and we're looking to grow it and make it bigger and better every year. It's November 2nd. It's again at our Pruitt campus in St. Lucie West. It's a fun run. It's a 5K, but it's on a flat and fast course. We bring in some experts to make sure it is an accurately timed course. But we come out and have a good time. We've had a chance to kind of work with some of our community members and businesses. Director hopped on board to help us with this event, as well as United Juice.
Nice.
So it's exciting to kind of have all our friends and community members come out and join us.
And the funds you raise are what are you going to use those funds to support?
Yeah, so they come back right to our campus, and it's going to go towards helping student scholarships. So we want
Nice.
to help these students complete. We offer a variety of different scholarships, emergency scholarships, completion scholarships. These are just things to help our students become successful and cross that finish line.
Nice. And now I've got my new knee, so I'm going to participate this year. That was the bad news. So I can walk, right? It's a 5K run. I specifically saw the word walk there, did I not?
That's correct. It's a run walk, and we want to really just bring out the community to have a good time.
Okay, good.
We're raising funds for student scholarships. It's going to go back to enhance our community.
All right. So how does one find out more information about the 5K run? How do we get registered? I want to get registered early.
IRSCfoundation.org/5K.
Okay.
Quick and easy.
All right. And what's the date again? It's Saturday.
It's Saturday, November 2nd. Bright and early at 7:30 will be our start time. We'll have some
7:30.
coffee out there. Glenn from Starbucks in St. Lucie West.
You will have coffee, so I don't have to bring my own. That's okay. That's
You don't have to
good.
bring your own.
Okay. All right.
So
Let's
you
be
could
set for success.
do the walk in the morning,
Yeah.
come right straight over for our noon tip-off against Ave Marie at the gym.
I like it. It's like a
He's
whole
the one and only
day.
Tom Kindred knee. like breakfast in a show.
That's right, like breakfast in a show. I like that. Yes, you can. I don't know if we're going to see if this new. I may have to call. I need to probably call my surgeon.
I was going to say you better
make sure I've
talk
been
to
cleared for a 5K walk. John, listen, you do great work at the foundation. You are, you are always there when we need you and your support, and one of the hardest working guys on campus. I can't. There's not usually a day go by that I don't look up and John is somewhere on that campus doing something to support the foundation and support the alumni. So, John, we appreciate it. We're looking forward to a big 60th anniversary. I'm sure you guys got some big plans for the alumni for the 60th. And I will.
Big things coming.
Yep, and I will see you Saturday morning, November the 2nd, at what'd you say, 7:30?
7:30 start time. Registration will open at 6:30.
All right, I'll be there. I'm gonna be there at 6:30 early.
Whoa.
I love it.
I'm gonna get there early.
All right.
All right, John. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Hey, John, you know what
John.
you need to do? Maybe every quarter, have John on to feature an alum.
Ooh, I could. That's
What
a
do you
whole.
think? That's,
Hold on. Let me get that idea down.
Whoa.
Alumni spotlight. You know what?
Alumni spotlight.
Hold on. We're gonna tonight. I'd like to welcome everybody to Alumni Spotlight.
Sponsored by Post Insurance.
Perfect.
John, thank you for joining us for the inaugural issue of Alumni Spotlight tonight as we feature
And I am
Kathy
honored.
Post.
I am honored to be a part of
Right.
the inaugural event.
That's right. All right, John. Thank you for all you do. We appreciate your support and your help and all
you,
that you
guys.
do at the college.
Hey,
Love it. You guys have a great night.
good luck
Yep.
with the race, man. Okay. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it.
That is Saturday, November the 2nd. That is the second annual Pioneer 5K walk run down on the Pruitt campus. Great event, a lot of fun. I was unable to participate in the walk run last year, but I got new equipment this year, and I will
You're
be
all
there.
set.
I'm set. So with that, I want to turn to our alumni spotlight guest this evening.
You know, it's amazing what can come out of a small show
That's
like
right.
this.
That's right. It's amazing. We're very flexible here.
Yes.
We're very. That's right.
Just never know.
Oh, she knows this place very well.
So listen, Kathy Post. Listen, thank you so much. I have been trying to get Kathy on the show for a while. Kathy, owner operator of Post Insurance, and again, big news with Post Insurance this year. You guys are celebrating your 40th anniversary, are you not?
40 years in business, yes.
Wow.
We are really excited.
Listen, we got a lot to talk about.
do.
But let's start real quickly with a little background on you and kind of how you found your way to Post Insurance.
Well, I grew up in St. Lucie County, which is really kind of an interesting and
Well,
an
there's
exciting,
6 of us. There's
yeah,
6 of us. Yeah.
Right. There's, yeah. I actually had lunch with a guy today who grew up in Port St. Lucie, moved there in
Wow.
1970. I moved there in 69. So we had all kinds of stories to share
Nice, nice.
about
Were
seeing
there about
the-
4 of you then?
Right, about 4 kids under 10, that's for sure. Yeah, you know, so I grew up here and just loved the community and went to, you know, the local schools, graduated from John Carroll High School, and just really our roots were, you know, heavily embedded in Port St. Lucie. That's where we lived and I grew up. And my parents were really, they stressed a lot about giving back to the community. And so we were always involved in everything, you know, scouts and ball and just anything, you know.
Right.
And so my dad decided to leave the claims adjusting business and go into sales, and started the agency in 1979 in the living room of our house. So I kind of joke and said, yeah, I did that too. It was kind of cool, old-fashioned portable typewriter. I thought it was really neat to type envelopes and whatnot back in the day. But then really, when I was a senior in high school, I thought it was really interesting what insurance did. I heard real stories about what it did and how it helped people. And so Dad's like, hey, I need somebody. Do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. And it just kind of all worked out, and it kind of just dominoed from there. It was a perfect time because I could go to IRSC
Right.
and work. and really be able to focus on my education and also my business plan, which I didn't know was going to be my business and my career plan at the time, but it just kind of all worked out well. And so fast forward, here we are 40 years later. My dad retired about 12 years ago, and we have a thriving agency in St. Lucie West, and just thrilled to be able to give back to the community today just like we did back then. And I really think that that's so important.
What was it like working with your dad?
You know, I'll tell you a funny story. So I was always the math person, not a writer, and my dad had an English major. And so one of the things that I learned early on is that I did not know how to write. And so he would make me write my letters or anything, and then he would take them and with a red pen and just mark it up, and I would be in tears because I put a lot of thought into this because I know the English major is going to critique it,
Right.
and he'd give it back to me, and then I'd do it again, and I mean this went on and on and on, but I write a pretty good letter now, and so it was really good because he was such a great coach and a really good mentor. He also had a psychology degree, so he was good about not. He never really told me what to do. He was always about me finding the answers for things. And so I think that has served me quite well.
That's so cool.
And, yeah, so I write a pretty good letter right now. So
And that technique and that philosophy plays a big role in today's education. I mean, it's all about critical thinking today. And I always think about that about college. Yeah, you do learn a lot of details in college, and you do learn some specifics about topics, but really college is about teaching you how to think and solve problems on your own.
right, and learning where do I go to
Right.
find the answers? Who do I talk to, and what resources do I have at my
Right.
fingertips? And of course, back then we didn't have the internet, so
Yeah.
it was all about paper and phone and calling somebody. And
Right. Yeah.
Well, but now today, fast forward to today, is the art of writing a letter disappearing?
I think it is. However, when you have to write a letter that needs to follow certain legal paths, then I think the art
There you
is
go.
still there. Plus, I think people still appreciate, whether it's in letter form or it's in email form, the style of traditional writing. I think a lot of people still appreciate, particularly the customer base that that we try to serve.
And I agree. Unfortunately, I think because of the onset of the emails, people treat that kind of as a casual, and so you do see a lot of, just a lot of, misspellings and
Well, and Twitter, all the
yeah,
abbreviations.
you can only
and
have so many characters. But I agree with Kathy. I still think it's, I'm still very careful with my emails and how I write emails and.
Well,
try
I think
to-
if you're dealing with professionals, particularly,
Right.
whether they're retired or you're talking about business owners, they really do want to see that you are, a professional and you know how
Right.
to write a letter,
Agree.
and that the spelling is correct. I'm amazed when spelling is,
I
with
know. With spell check,
right?
Right. So talk about current day post insurance. Where's the company today? 40 years later.
So 40 years later, we're still a growing, thriving insurance agency. We are an independent agency, so we represent a lot of different insurance companies. Our business is split. We do a lot of personal lines, so auto and home and business, boats and umbrellas, all kinds of things like that as far as insurance goes. But then we also do quite a bit of business insurance as well. And so our business clients range anywhere from construction to doctors to retail. So we really can, cover pretty much the gamut of what the needs are in St. Lucie County. And so when somebody says, who's your typical customer, we don't really have a typical customer. Our typical customer is the customer who wants to have a relationship with an insurance agent as their advisor, somebody who appreciates what we bring to the table and wants to be educated on what they're buying. If somebody is just looking for the quickest, cheapest, stripped down policy, then that may not be our perfect match. But if somebody really wants to understand what they're buying and know that if they have a claim, they've got the coverage that they expect, then I would say that that's what our typical customer looks like.
And you touched on one of my questions, but kind of elaborate a little bit. Personal versus commercial. You will work with both, right? You have products in both.
We have products in both, and ideally, if someone has their personal insurance with us, then we would serve them well to have their commercial. Because as an insurance advisor, we want to look at the whole picture. Because you got the gentleman who's got the truck over here on a personal auto policy. Next thing you find out that he's got tools and equipment and he's delivering, and so all of a sudden you're like, ooh, that's not really where it should be. It needs to be on a commercial policy. So being able to look at the whole picture and advise that way really serves the customer very well like that. So, but yes, so we can do both sides of the fence, if you will.
And you talked about you're an independent agent. Kind of explain that. You have some lines you represent, but you're not bound to any particular line. Is that correct?
That is correct. So actually, my dad started as a nationwide agent, so we were strictly captive to nationwide. But over the years, that changed, and so now it's really serves our customers better. Being able to, we still represent nationwide, but not exclusively. So we can write through, Travelers and Progressive and Hartford, and a lot of insurance companies that the average person knows, and so we can craft the right policy for coverage and, of course, price. So we, it gives us a real advantage. Plus, we're an advocate for our customer, so we can then, find the right policy that's going to, pair with what their needs are.
Right. We teach a little concept in entrepreneurship and small business, and that there's really two professionals that an entrepreneur or small business owner needs to certainly engage in, and we teach that it's a lawyer and accountant, but
you guys forget us.
I know. Well, I'm telling you, when I teach the class,
don't forget me.
I add the third, and it really is. I mean, you have to have an insurance agent. Insurance is just such a critical issue for a small business owner. It
really is. And time again, we will have customers call us and say, oh, I bought a new car over the weekend. Well, how did you title it? I titled it in my business name. And now we've got to write a policy in the business name, and their premiums are higher, and they get frustrated because that's what their accountant told them to do. And that's fine. I mean, there's good reasons to do that. But I feel like we would be better serving our customer if they knew going in, hey, these are the expenses you can also expect. So, and that's the same for whether you set up a new LLC or anything that you're doing with your business, that if you talk to your agent ahead of time and really put us at that table, then everybody's talking the same language and can really make sure that things are being done holistically.
Right. And I just happen to have owned and operated a business for quite a long time, and of course, insurance was, an annual issue with us. Every year we had to renew our insurance, and went through the deck pages. And it was interesting that each year there were new things that we thought of. Talk a little bit about all those, the intricacies of commercial insurance. I mean, the things that most people don't think of. Employee theft, errors and omissions. I mean, there are all kinds of different, and these aren't expensive items, but you don't want to leave these things out. Do you speak to that?
You really don't. And I'll start by saying it's really important, whether you're a small business owner or you have, a huge operation, sitting down with your agent once a year, spend an hour, talk about what does the business look like? What are you planning in the next 12 months? Really speaking about the needs of the company and what the company is really doing, because companies change. They're on a fast track. They get an idea and they implement, and next thing you know, as an agent, we're like, whoa, you did what? And so really spending time talking to your agent so that your agent knows what the operation looks like, and then can speak to those things like, oh, you have somebody that's helping pay your bills. Well, maybe you need employee dishonesty, somebody who might embezzle money from you. Do you have coverage for that? Do you need that? Or you mentioned errors and omissions. That's also professional liability and malpractice. Has 3 different words, but it means the same thing to different types of businesses. So does this company have any exposure to malpractice or a professional loss? And if so, what can be done?
Well, even in my old, kind of antiquated equipment business, I mean, we financed equipment. We sold extended warranties on equipment. If we had made a mistake on all that could have been pretty costly for us.
It could have been costly.
Again, errors and omissions, that covers that?
It could, absolutely. And it can also, lots of people do lots of things, and so people don't think about, if I make a mistake or if I advise wrongfully, can that come back on me? And so that's when your agent can say, absolutely. If you make a mistake in this advice or you put them in the wrong place, then it could come back on you from a liability perspective. But there's all kinds of crazy new insurance things coming out
Right.
here, and we can talk about that too.
Well, and I'll probably touch on one of those, but talk just a minute too about so important the key man insurance. If you've got family in the business and or partners, I mean, what happens if the worst case scenario happens and we lose a partner
and we
or
lose,
a family member?
Absolutely. So, there's key man insurance, which is life insurance to protect if one of those key employees, whether it be a business partner or somebody who's really important in your business, dies. I mean, we never want to talk about it, but it happens every day. And if you have a partner and that partner dies, do you want to be in business with his wife? Because that is probably what's going to happen unless you've put a plan in place. Right. So those are the kinds of things that business owners should not take for granted. And they start off, small, two guys wanting to get together and start this business. Next thing you know, 5-10 years later, now they've got $1 million operation, and they've never really sat down and thought through the what if somebody dies, and that can absolutely devastate a business.
Right. And you talk about new things. I think, obviously, which I didn't know until recently, but now there's cyber insurance, cyber security insurance. Talk about this whole cyber world now.
So, as society changes and as things happen and new technology comes about, then we, the insurance industry, have to kind of keep up with the changes and the challenges that come with that. So I would say it's a relatively new coverage, because it's certainly not been around for 40 years,
right.
Is cyber liability. Cyber liability is kind of a catch-all phrase, but really speaks to liability that happens when you send an email that has a virus attached, and it might, shut down a hospital. Or somebody takes your email or, hacks into your system and gets all your bank account information and then wires money out of your bank account. They've impersonated you, and now they've stolen your money. Right. But it's through cyber and technical and through the computer that it's happened. Those things are excluded under general liability policies and under business owner policies. So you really have to know, do I have exposure to this? If you take credit card payments, boom. If you have someone's personal information, well, doctors, most people have people's personal information: name, address, social security number, credit card information, bank account information. If you take that information, if you store that information, you can be held liable if that information gets out. And it's not just electronically stored. Imagine if you have paper information. So something as simple as I take a customer's check, I leave it on my desk, somebody else comes along, takes a picture of it. Now they've got access to that client, that person's checking account information. They steal information now. The liability falls back on me because I have someone's personal information and I did not protect it. So all those types of things can fall back on the business owner. And so there's actually cyber liability insurance that can help with that.
Has storage in the cloud even muddied this even more?
Well, it's muddied it because sometimes it's much more difficult to figure out where the break was.
Sure.
Where did the information really leak out? So then everybody's fighting with each other, trying to point fingers at who was at fault. Well, if you have an insurance policy, you want that insurance company doing all that fighting and all that defense. You don't want to have to be hiring the forensic people and those guys in the IT to have to do that on your behalf, and that's one of the other benefits of the policy.
We even back in my day in the business, we would do some business via the phone and via the internet. We would take payments and we would transfer equipment, we would transfer dollars, and that back in those days we never thought twice about it. Today, there's fraud out there.
There is.
And we, of course, the SBDC is very engaged in this cybersecurity issue because it's a big issue for small business owners now. A lot of small business owners don't really think, just because I'm a small business guy, why would they want me? But you've pointed out, you have access to data, people's addresses. If you're doing business with people over the phone or through credit cards, it's all pretty valuable stuff. But we hear stories all the time from businesses that transfer money to the wrong account.
I can tell you a real story where a client got a fax that said, this invoice is past due, please send $5,000 right away. The bookkeeper got it, sent the money, and it was a fraudulent invoice. And it was on the letterhead of a vendor that they did business with, and she never gave it a second thought. Boom, $5,000 out the door. So thank God it was only $5,000.
Right. That's the kind of thing that's covered by cyber insurance?
The kind of thing that would be covered under the cyber policy. Okay. Yes. Now, we really want to see people put, much more controls in place these days. You know, they really want people to pick up the phone and double check those things.
Right.
Because we don't want people arbitrarily, but it does happen.
But like you get those phishing emails, and like we deal with FedEx almost daily.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you get this email from FedEx, or what you think is FedEx.
Right.
Surprise, surprise.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and some of the policies will pay the ransom. So if you get ransomware, it shuts your system down. They will investigate. They'll pay the ransom to get you back up and running. I mean, so there's a lot of these policies are very beefy, and there's a lot of extra stuff that's involved in them. So it's really good stuff, and they can run as low as $500 to as much as $3,000-$4,000 depending on the type of operation you have.
And one of the pieces of our insurance I remember was defense. Mm-hmm. If you're involved in a lawsuit, maybe product liability or something lawsuit, there was coverage that actually would pay to hire an attorney and defend you in a lawsuit. Is that also that's
the
current
same
today?
It's still current today, whether it be general liability, whether it be your homeowner's policy, your auto policy, those policies, those liabilities include your defense costs. So what I tell people is whether you're negligent or not, what you really get from this policy is the insurance company providing your defense, and defense attorneys can cost thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to defend you in that lawsuit. And unless you want to have to pay that bill yourself, that's one of the huge benefits of the insurance policies.
What other areas are there that are new and that business owners need to be looking out for when they're reviewing their insurance?
So one of the things I would say is they really should look at their policy, and when they get their renewal, their deck pages, like you mentioned, declarations pages, scan through the the endorsements, because your endorsements will show you, and insurance companies will throw on new endorsements every renewal. And if you're not paying attention to that, you may end up with an exclusion that you're not aware of. Another good reason to sit down with your agent. So one of the new ones is, unmanned aircraft exclusion. So, which is a drone. So, a lot of companies are throwing on exclusions that say, we're not going to cover the liability if you have a drone. So, you're out flying your drone around, taking pictures, and that's what you're doing for your business or not. And there's, it lands in the middle of 95 and causes a wreck, or, who knows what's going to happen to this thing. No liability protection for that. So that's one of the new exclusions that we're seeing more and more being placed on not only business policies, but also homeowner policies. So, a lot of kids get drones for Christmas and, all that. So you want to ask that question. Yes. Some of the other things, you mentioned cyber liability. If you're in the construction world, one of the exclusions that we're seeing more often than not is doing business with condominium associations. So you want to make sure that if you're in anything to do with construction, and that's an area that you do work in or want to work in, that you ask your agent, is there an exclusion for this? Am I covered for this? I'm thinking about doing some work for this, huge condo. I want to make sure I've got coverage for that, because those are some of the little exclusions that get thrown in, or may have been in all along, but at the time you started your policy, I'm not going to do that. And now your business has changed, your model has changed, and so those are the things you want to look for. So,
I'll never forget one time talking to an insurance agent and talking about the typical, if you're involved in an accident with your company car or some company equipment, the limitations, the umbrella, the limitations that the business has on it. And we talked about, how do you save a little money? Well, you could reduce some of those limitations. But my insurance agent always advised me, he said, look, if you kind of reduce your limitations below industry standards and you get yourself involved in a little bit of a mess and a judge looks at this, he's going to see that you really didn't follow industry standards in managing your insurance, and he may say, you know what, we're going to let him go after you personally because you lowered that. Speak to that issue a little bit
I think that can still be true. What you want to do is make sure that your liability limits are adequate enough to protect the assets that you have. So if you have a business that's worth $10 million and you decide I'm only going to carry insurance for $100,000, A judge is going to look at that and say, you're not being real prudent in protecting the people that you're either working for or that you're serving in that business. So you want to buy insurance that gives enough coverage, because that's what it's about. If, gosh, the accidents happen. You hurt somebody or somebody gets injured as a result of your operation. You want to make sure you have enough insurance to take care of that and to take care of that person. And you don't want to be negligent in the amount of coverage you carry, because I do think, excuse me, the judge will come back and say, you're gonna be on the hook for that. And remember, your business and the assets in that business are the ones who are going to be on the hook. Right. So you want to make sure you're protecting that, because you didn't work all these years to build this business to just let somebody else take it, because things happen.
And let's speak just a minute about new business startups. We work with an awful lot of folks that come in and they've got a good business idea, but they're going to start small. Maybe they're going to do a little bit of a training business where they're going to go out and do some training, or they're going to start a little small business where they're producing a product and they've only got a couple of customers. I always advise those folks, I say, even though you're small, you don't have a lot of assets, as you talked about, you really still need that coverage, because it doesn't matter. You're even if the car is personal, you're now doing business in the car. So, that makes a difference. So speak to a little bit of that person that's just starting the business and really having to watch their pennies, and they still need the basic general liability insurance, do they not?
They absolutely do. And, we never recommend anything less than $1 million worth of liability for a business owner. Wow. The reason is because, depending on the business, of course, but generally it's a couple of $100 to go from $300,000 to $1 million. Wow. Now, when it comes to business auto, that could be different. But when it comes to general liability, it's just not that much to go from $300,000 to $1 million. And of course, it's worth it to spend the money to have that $1 million worth of protection, because I guarantee you, if somebody slips and falls in your business and cracks their head open and dies, and you get those lawsuit papers, you're going to be so much more thankful and sleep well at night if you've got $1 million on the table versus if you have $300,000. So that would be the one thing I would say. The other thing I would just really reiterate to people who want to start a business is, and this happened to me recently, make sure that before you jump in with both feet, that as you're doing your research, because they figure out how much is it going to cost to start my LLC and how much is it going to cost my taxes, and they do all that, but they never think about insurance, or they go online and insurance is going to be $50 a month, or their accountant says, it should be about $100 a month, but they don't ever think about, but what kind of business am I doing? So, if you're doing a business that involves children, then you may need sexual misconduct coverage. Well, that jacks up your rate. If you're doing anything to do, with counseling, then you need professional liability. That's going to raise your rate. So all those things kind of go into the plan. So I would just say, call around, get one or two quotes, call one person, just at least get a viable quote, so that when you're putting your business plan together and they go in to meet with you, they can say, oh yeah, I got my insurance. Man, it's $2,500. Wow, that seems high, but what does it include? Oh, well, it includes sexual misconduct and professional liability and general liability. Oh, well, then that doesn't seem so bad. Right. So, but those are the things that we see as business owners come in, that they've never done the research to find out, and it can be such a big chunk of the budget for a new business owner.
Well, and again, as I told you, anytime they come and see us, in their new startups, we tell them, accountant, lawyer, insurance agent.
Yes.
So we want to make sure that they are. And I really tell startups, my advice to startups is, I wouldn't operate the first hour of this business without knowing that I've got some coverage.
Absolutely. Because you've put all this time and money into a business, why would you take the chance of starting and not having the protection of, at least some insurance protection for your business?
If you're thinking of starting, say, a food business, what kind of coverage would you need over and above the norm?
So if you're going to do like a restaurant, let's say, then of course you need liability for the slip and fall, or they get sick and they sue you and they say, hey, you're the one who caused me to have this food poisoning. You also need things to cover your property. So let's say there was a fire. You want to rebuild, you got to have insurance for the property. But it goes beyond that. If I have a fire and now I can't operate for 3 months while I'm rebuilding, what about some loss of income coverage? So that needs to be added on, because you still have to pay the loan to the bank because you've borrowed money for your equipment. You might want to still be able to pay your rent. So there's ongoing expenses. So you need to be able to get some, revenue, so the business income will pay for that. And then, God forbid you have a power outage and now you've got spoilage of all your refrigerated goods. So you want to make sure you've got that included. So again, sitting down with your agent and saying, okay, I want to do this. Here's what I'm thinking. They're going to ask questions like, well, how much do you anticipate having in your freezer? And, what would happen if you were shut down for 2 or 3 weeks? Would you be able to, sustain and be able to stay in business?
And that happens during the hurricanes.
Well, right. And,
Yes.
and all the things we've talked about, the loss of income, the cyber, the key, well, not necessarily key man, but the errors and omissions, those are all just add-ons, right? You basically get your basic general liability policy, and then you start to customize the policy a little bit. Is that how that works?
Normally, I would say so. Usually when somebody calls me, I'll start with what kind of business do you have?
Right.
And then we'll talk about liability, and then I'll say, and do you have any equipment or property, business property? If you're in an office, did you do any tenant improvements that you need to insure? And we'll start with those two things. And then we start adding on workers' comp. In the state of Florida, if you have 4 or more employees, whether they're part-time or full-time, you're required to have workers' comp. If you're in the construction industry and you have 1 employee, you're required to have workers' comp. So we start talking about those other coverage lines and then kind of craft recommendations. Some, I don't ever expect that anybody's going to buy everything, and that's okay. But what I want to make sure is that they know what's out there, what their exposure is, and then they get to make an educated decision that says, I want to insure this piece, but for right now, I'm willing to self-insure this piece.
Right.
And they understand the risk that goes along with that.
And you mentioned power outage, and Greg mentioned, weather events. So have weather events in the last couple of decades made it more difficult to get commercial insurance in Florida?
Yes. Actually, before Hurricane Andrew, it wasn't so bad at all.
Right.
That was a whole different insurance world. But over the years, we've seen ebbs and flows of the ability to get insurance and the ability to afford insurance. Ironically, right now, we are able to find insurance for just about anybody, just about anywhere. Now, whether they can afford it is a different story. But we can still get windstorm insurance for people who are located on the beach. So there's a lot more availability and there's a lot more creativity from the insurance industry's perspective than there was even 10, 15 years ago. And we also have new market players. So we have insurance companies that have never, really played in a certain market, and they come in and they decide, we want to try this or we want to write that. And so they price it and we write, so it's pretty interesting. And they've also gotten creative. We have companies that will do wind-only policies. So, hey, we just want to insure for the hurricane exposure. We don't want to insure for the fire. We just want to do. So there's all kinds of creativity that's happening on the insurance industry side to be able to offer, valid and affordable insurance products for business owners.
Obviously, you're dealing with a lot of small business owners and operators. Talk a little bit about the marketplace out there. What are you seeing along the Treasure Coast? A lot of growth, a lot of positive things happening. What are you seeing?
We're seeing all kinds of great things happening.
Okay.
So, we're in Port St. Lucie, so we're seeing, a tremendous amount of, growth in the south part of Port St. Lucie with homeowners and, houses being built, all over the place. But we're also seeing a lot of commercial construction too. And a lot of our own customers who are expanding, adding buildings, deciding to do things that they were, much more apprehensive to do just, 3 and 4 and 5 years ago. So we're really excited to see that. And I think that's going to stay the same. As long as interest rates stay pretty steady, and I do believe that will continue, then I think we're going to see some good steady growth for quite a while.
So, besides
we are the
work,
best place to live, by the way.
I think that's what I say.
Yeah,
I think
it
it's
is
in
the
my
best
opening.
place to live.
Yeah, it's a great place to own and operate a business.
It is.
Besides working with and supporting small business operators, you are a small business operator. Talk a little bit about the challenges of owning and operating your own business.
Really? On the
And
air?
This is it. On the air. This confession time.
You only have 8 hours to answer that question.
You should have given me the last 30 seconds, Greg.
Right.
It's fun, I have to say. I love running a business. I think because I really enjoy empowering my employees to do a great job and to be able to let them grow. But I tend to be a little controlling, so letting things go and also trying to figure out the work-life balance. I mean, I've been doing this for 35 years and I still haven't figured out the work-life balance. I love insurance, so I'm kind of like one of those insurance nerds. So I tend to want to, work a little more than I should. So I think that is a difficult part. I think too, in this area, finding and keeping really great employees. And once you find them, you want to hold on to them and keep them. And so trying to come up with creative ways to keep employees is something that I'm always trying to do, because it's not always necessarily about their paycheck. Right. So you've got to get creative about that, and benefits. And, so that's a key, because in St. Lucie County, we can draw from the communities around us, but we can't necessarily compete with the pay scale that's right. Indian River, Martin, and Palm Beach County. So I would say that those are some of the challenges that we face.
There are challenges, but obviously you have figured out how to deal with them, Kathy. 40 years.
We really enjoy
Congratulations.
it. Thank you so much. I really enjoy it.
That in the world of small business, that is no small feat.
We are one of the oldest running businesses in Port St. Lucie.
Nice.
And so we're
Very
really
nice.
proud of that. And we work hard at that.
Right.
It doesn't come easy, but we really have a good time, and we appreciate partners and people like you who, continue to support us.
And how does one find Post Insurance?
They can find Post Insurance on the web at insurewithpost.com. That's insurewithpost.com, or they can give us a call at any time at 878-8184.
Loved it. It was worth the wait, Kathy.
Well, thank you,
to
Tom.
get you on our show for the first edition of Alumni Spotlight.
Look at yes. I think this is going to cost me something, Greg. What are you thinking?
Just leave your checkbook here.
Yes.
Listen, our good friend and veteran of the small business world out there, Kathy Post with Post Insurance. Thank you so much, and congratulations on 40 great years.
Thank you very much. I do have to say, I did take a business writing class from IRSC, and it did help me a lot. There you go.
There you go. Testimony. Testimony. With that, we'll bring to close another segment of Small Biz Florida here. From the Dan K. Richardson Entrepreneurship Development Institute and the Florida Small Business Development Center at Indian River State College. You can always find out more about what's going on with our programs at irscbiz.com. That's irscbiz.com. And as always, I want to thank our partners here at WPSL and WSTU, and we'll talk to you next week on Small Biz Florida.
This is WPSL, Port St. Lucie, WSTU Stewart,